to the Sasquatch and Squirrel Show. And this is going to be a little bit more lighthearted episode. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of Halloween.
Ooh.
I have a lot of fond memories of this holiday. It's one of my favorite, and honestly, to me, it's the most fair. What do you think?
I think it has to do with the time of year. I think fall is pretty much the everybody's favorite time of year. So I've always associated fall with Halloween and turning of the leaves and all that. I grew up in the north a little bit as a youngster,
Mm-hmm.
and we had the changing of the seasons and all that. So it was a fun time. I don't know if I've mentioned it or not on here, but we grew up incredibly poor. So, my costumes are usually homemade, or on the rare occasion I would get like a set of vampire teeth and, a tablecloth for a cape.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But no, I've always been a huge fan of Halloween, and it nothing to do with the spookiness of it or anything like that, but which we'll get into momentarily, or if there is any spookiness to it in actuality.
Right.
But is there anything specific that you remember like dressing up as a kid?
Oh, man. Halloween was always a fun time of mine. It was like, my family was real big Halloween celebrators. We actually celebrated Halloween more than we did Christmas. I mean, as a kid, like this is how our little Halloween thing started. We used to always decorate our yard for Halloween and have like a free haunted graveyard basically for the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And it all started off with my father apparently jumping out behind the door at a neighbor kid of mine and scared the shit out of him. And my dad laughed his ass off so much that we just started piecing it together. It went from little poorly cut out headstones out of wood and stuff like that, and we ended up getting like well, we made a casket out of plywood,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very ridiculously squared big. And later on, we actually got a real casket that was weird enough previously used from the Bellwitch farm. It was like in a barn of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And
But well, hold on. When you say used, you mean used as in the term of someone
yes,
there was a dead body in it, or there was.
at one point in time, yes, there was a dead body in it, but we wasn't the ones that dug it up. Neither was the people who gave it to us. This right here was in a barn. It was
Mm-hmm.
used as a Halloween decoration. It was an old casket that was metal. It had one door on it,
Mm-hmm.
one viewing door on it,
Right.
because the other one was busted off. Apparently, they had some fake bones in there. They used it as a Halloween prop. Who knows where it came from, but it was just an old casket. And apparently, when my mother was driving this thing home, it was like an hour or so drive from where the Bellwitch farm was to where we lived.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she got pulled over twice by different city cops, and they're like, "Lady, what in the hell are you doing with that in your car?" My dad ribbed the shit out of her. But the thing is like when we were getting it out of the back of the station wagon, actually, it it was so funny because my dad was like, "Hey, this thing smells like formaldehyde."
I can't imagine why, and that's the reason why I brought it up. I'm like, is that really sanitary? Is that kind of whatever peels your banana? But I mean, so I guess we could kind of dive into it a little bit here. The true beginnings of Halloween are usually now. This is where it can be argued. They're Scottish Celtic in origin.
Mhm.
It's a time called Samhain, which is it sounds creepy. Most people they pronounce it Sam Hain because that's the way it's spelled, but it's pronounced Samhain. Now, it's actually the end of the Celtic calendar is October 31st, and the beginning of the Celtic calendar is November 1st. It's just this. It's just the end of the harvest and the end of summer is what it royally is. It's none of this. The veil is thin or any crap like that. That's the true meaning of it, really. But sometimes, I mean, I guess there is. I guess it really depends on how far back you want to go with it.
Mhm.
I guess that, like, I mean,
Well,
it's
you know, a
but
lot of people, the first thing that people wanna do is fucking deal with, if something they don't understand, the first thing they go to is,
evil.
Satan or devils or some bullshit like that, and I always hate that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it just gets to a point to where it's like they had to do with what they, they had to make do with what they had.
Mhm.
So I don't. I mean, and it was just a celebration.
Yeah.
But they would carve turnips, which some of those pictures you sent me of those turnips, some of those are pure fucking nightmare fuel.
Telling you, dude, those things right there, I was laughing at them.
One
They
with
were
the fucking
horrifying.
teeth that they put in there. I'm like, why? And so because they didn't have anything else, because I guess the pumpkins hadn't been invented yet. I don't fucking know.
Well, they just probably didn't think of it like that,
Probably not. But they would light fires and just have celebration. It was to me, it boils down to a celebration of the ending of a hard year's labor and looking forward to the winter and the next year.
And, just like what we were talking about earlier with the whole, satanic and, people trying to say it's a pagan holiday and all that right there. But
Hmm.
Halloween is more of a Christianity background than anything. It's once called All Saints Day, which is
Hmm.
also known as All Hallows Day.
That was after the pagans lost, basically. That's when the papacy took it over and started changing it. So
Hmm.
it was a pagan holiday up until the Catholic Church took over.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, it's a holiday that they celebrated in Ireland and in Scotland. So there, I mean, you can say it's pagan or it's more of a Celtic thing in my brain because I don't know if they necessarily brought their gods into it because I don't know the Celtic gods at all. At least that's the research I did and the way that it was presented in what I watched. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and just like we said in the very beginning, there's several arguments of like exactly how Halloween started off. Some of the research that I did, they were talking about very similar to what you were talking about with the whole Scottish Irish kind of thing.
Hmm.
From my understanding of it, November 2nd was turned into All Souls Day.
Hmm.
And this is like the remembrance of Christian souls of deceased Christians with a special attention to those that are still in purgatory.
Correct. That's what I remember hearing as well.
Yeah. It was like a celebration over like 3 different days. And like this is called All Hallow Tide or Hallowmas,
Hmm.
if I was reading that correctly.
Right.
And one thing I usually like doing is diving into how words were created and stuff like that. So I'm kind of like breaking them down. So the word hollow, the definition from the Collins Dictionary says it's honor as holy or a holy person or of
Hmm.
holiness. And then the definition of ween, also Collins Dictionary, was to think, suppose, or to expect, hope, or intend, or to actually wish upon. So
So basically, in another word, being optimistic.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of people apparently used to like talking about how like the whole costume thing happened. Like we dress up today in Halloween, and there's other cultures that do it too. Like for example, like in Mexico, they celebrate the Day of the Dead. Well, it's also Dia de los Muertos.
Mhm.
That's my limited Spanish for today.
Don't blow a circuit trying to say that.
Oh man, my circuit's already blown. It's too late. But a lot of the a lot of the stuff I was looking up for why we actually dress up for Halloween actually came from that same Scottish Irish area of the whole church thing. The church has actually encouraged people to dress up in costumes resembling their favorite saints.
Mhm.
There was another part of that right there where it was going back to my belief it's the most fair holiday. This kind of reinforced it. They didn't care which social background you were from. You could either be a pauper or or a lord over land and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, they danced together no matter their social status, and you could dress up as a king if you were a poor person, and you could dress up as a poor person if you were the king. So it's just like it was just a little bit of fun. People actually celebrating the past lives of people.
Mhm.
And as I said, it was encouraged by the church. So all this, Halloween is evil shit that can go out the door. People watch too many fucking horror movies.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid in my church, and I was raised Pentecostal, so take that with a grain of salt. We would do so that we had the sanctuary, and then we had the classrooms were in the outer perimeter of the sanctuary. So it was like a hallway with rooms, and then whatever. And then I remember my church; they would encourage us to dress up, nothing too demonic looking, but you could wear makeup and dress up a little bit, and you would just go to the different classrooms and trick or treat.
Right, right.
So, but now, and I don't mean to throw under the bus, but my mother, she's like, when she had somebody staying with her for a little bit, they wanted to decorate for Halloween, and she's like, absolutely not. And I'm like, where is this coming from? So I don't know. I mean, I just don't know if it's things times have changed or whatever. But I don't. I just find it to be when we dive into these topics and we learn some of the origins of how it became. Well, first off, it was a pagan holiday. Then it was a Christian holiday because the Christians stole it or ripped it off, and now it's just wrong all the way around. The evolution of things is quite interesting at times.
And who knows what it's going to turn into later on. I know now, I mean, hell, I don't know if it's just because of safety reasons or whatnot, but hell, I haven't gotten a trick or treater the whole time I've been here in Florida, but up in Tennessee, you
Hmm.
know, we always had trick or treaters, even like at the very end. I mean,
Hmm.
the only reason why we kind of stopped doing the whole Halloween thing is because my family was like dealing with health issues, and
Hmm.
my dad loved it, but he was getting so stiff in his joints and stuff like that, he couldn't actually like jump up and get out, scare the kids out of the casket and stuff like that like he normally did.
Right.
And then I kind of took it over for one or 2 years doing that, just kind of passing the torch down. So it was kind of fun doing it like that.
Yeah.
But apparently, the door to door trick or treating thing was not an American thing either. Of course, nothing. I don't think we have too many traditions that we created our own.
No.
But it's like poor children would actually go door to door asking for soul cakes or
Yeah.
solo cakes or whatever they were called.
Yeah, and it's these little discs of like sugary, well, for what they were back in the time, and then they would say there was a little rhyme they would say like, I forget the rhyme, but it was and yeah, it was basically the trick or treat. That's how they instead of having like the Snickers bar, that's what they trick or treated for back then.
Right. But back in the day, the original reason why they would do that is the children would get the cakes in return. They were offered prayers for the people in
In purgatory,
purgatory.
right? Yeah.
And later on, the holiday will pull away from the Catholic way of thinking because people was thinking Catholicism was full of shit
Hmm.
and purgatory was full of shit, and they start going off into their separate sects and stuff like that. However, a lot of things that they used to do during that celebration kind of trickled into like what we do these days. Like, for example, lighting candles in honor of the dead.
Hmm.
Supposedly that was to like to guide benevolent spirits back to their families and keep the demons of Satan back in the darkness, if you could believe any of that bullshit. Where
Hmm.
we come up with this concept of stuff, who knows?
I don't know, like that whole idea. Well, because it's been commercialized.
Right.
Just like like let's take another holiday. We'll go off topic for a second. Let's take another holiday. Valentine's Day. That is not a real holiday. It is a completely made up holiday to sell chocolate and
Yeah.
engagement rings and roses and all that stupid shit. So I don't, I don't believe in, I don't even celebrate Valentine's Day.
Mm.
It's all about commercialization. Same thing with Christmas. Same thing about Thanksgiving. All of them.
Yeah. Luckily, my wife doesn't believe in that shit either. And she said, if you ever get me a Valentine's gift, you better send that back or I'm going to send you back.
Yeah, but holidays in general are just a way to separate you from your money.
Pretty much. But, getting back on the Halloween topic, we're, doing the whole research into jack-o'-lanterns. Apparently, there's some big folk tale about Stingy Jack. Did you read about that?
Yeah, I did. So I'll tell it if you don't mind.
Go
So,
ahead, please.
so this dude, this Jack O the Lantern, right? He was the town drunk, but he was also known as a pretty undesirable person.
Yep.
And he was walking home from a tavern one night, drunk as a skunk, and he supposedly met Satan,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, you're going to come to hell. And he goes, well, wait a minute. Can I have one more drink before we go to hell? He goes, and Satan agrees. All right. They're in this tavern. you have after several rounds of ale or whatever they drunk back then. And Jack says to Satan, he says, "Could you turn into a coin so I can pay for this?" For some strange reason, Satan agrees. So he takes the coin, puts it in his pocket where he happened to have a crucifix. So
Hmm.
he couldn't he couldn't change back into his form, and thus he says, he defeated Satan, and he said, "Let me live for one more year." And of course, Satan agreed. All right, so 1 year later to the date, he's walking home and bumps into old Satan one more time.
This
And
man could not learn,
it
could
just,
he?
I know it's like you're doing something wrong if you're just casually bumping into Satan.
Right, right.
Anyways, so, oh, hey,
Oh, hey.
Lou. Yeah, how's it going, Lou? That fucking shit. Any goddamn way. So he's like, "You're going to go to hell." He goes, "All right, fine. So just let me have one more thing before I go." And he goes, what would you want? He goes, "I want an apple." All right. Somehow, yet again, Satan agrees.
I'm trying to figure out who can't really learn their lesson here.
I know, right? Fool me once, fool me twice. Anyways, Satan's an idiot. Anyways, no. So he has Satan go pick an apple off the tree, and in that time frame, he takes crucifixes and puts them around Satan, and Satan can't escape. And he's like, "Let me go." He goes, "You can't take me to hell ever." And he goes, "All right, I agree." Fucking weird, right?
Motherfucker's
So
lenient as shit, man.
I
I don't
know,
think
man.
I'd have
He's
that much luck with him.
no, he's already tested my patience, and I wasn't even there.
Right?
But
Jeez.
no, so this guy, and then I guess so. Satan agrees, and a year later he dies, and he goes to the gates of heaven, and God denies him access. So then he goes down to hell, and he's like, "Let me in," and he goes, "No, I told you you weren't coming here." So apparently he was damned for all eternity to walk with a turnip cut into a lantern. So that's where the term Jack o' Lantern came from, Jack of the Lantern.
Hmm.
I guess when they would see fire off in the distance back then, they would equate it to being, Jack of the Lantern.
Gotcha.
Actually, as time progressed, they realized it was swamp gas,
Yeah, swamp gas from the bogs burning off and like causing little,
or yeah,
you gotta think about that too, just for a second. Just
mm-hmm.
gases like coming out and just spontaneously combusting. Man, that Mother Nature is crazy.
No, it's Jack of the Lantern, or it's aliens. Remember that stupid Inquirer magazine from back in the day? Oh, swamp
Yeah,
gas! It's fucking it's aliens. No, it's swamp gas. Oh, okay, yeah, all right, sure. I think I've said it once on this show. I said, "What's free, anytime, anywhere?"
bullshit.
Gullibility.
Oh, okay. I was close.
Yeah, pretty close. But no, I mean, so I don't know like how far you want to take this episode, but I mean, is there anything oogie boogie about this time of year? No, it's just the Celtic end of year. If you go to Ireland, which at some point I do, it's on my bucket list. I want to go over there for Halloween. I want to see because from what I hear, it's a hell of a good time.
Oh, I bet.
And I'm looking, but for them, it just sounds like it was a reason to party back then.
Yeah. I mean, dude, like, how many holidays do we have where we find a reason to drink? I mean,
I
on
mean,
Cinco de Mayo, everybody's a Mexican and like celebrating Mexico.
mhm. St.
St.
Patty's
Patrick's
Day.
Day.
Now, real quick, since we're technically talking about Irish stuff here, so what St. Patrick's Day is supposed to be when he got rid of all the snakes in Ireland.
Okay.
Well, what that was,
Almost like the Pied Piper.
yeah, you're not wrong, but the snakes is what he's referring to is not snakes, it's pagans. So he removed all the pagans from Ireland. So he I don't want to say single handedly, but that's why they celebrate St. Patrick's Day, is because he removed the pagans from Ireland.
Oh.
And they say snakes, and it's not. So there's some people that I know that are pagans, and they're good friends of mine, and they don't celebrate the holiday because it obviously is a soft spot for them, and rightfully so. Because
Okay, so this is like real paganism, not some teenage girl
no, this
saying,
isn't
I'm a
some
pagan.
yeah, this isn't some fat bitch from Hot Topic. This is legitimate
Okay.
paganism. Yeah,
Gotcha. All right, cool.
so, yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that we actually had
No,
real pagans out there.
yeah. No, I mean there are. I mean it's because you have some people that believe that, especially when you get to the Norwegian area and you get to you're familiar, you're a musician and an artist and that kind of thing, so you're familiar with the whole black metal movement,
Hmm.
especially coming out of Norway.
Yep.
Well, a lot of those people, there was years ago, there was a series of people burning churches because they're pissed that they got taken over by the Christians. My thing behind that is just, should have fought harder. I don't know. I mean,
Guess,
but
yeah.
it's that's how I feel about anybody that got conquered. You should have fought harder.
Mm.
There's that sect of people that have tried to reignite the flame of paganism, and for some people it fits for their lifestyle, it fits for who they are. But when you get some dork who's just trying to be different, it makes them all look bad. It's just like the televangelists make Christians look bad.
Hmm.
So, but anyways, that was
Yeah.
another little side note of Irish history. Is that Saint Patrick wasn't he wasn't a nice guy. So
Yeah. I mean, just like things that get watered down over the years. I mean, like nursery rhymes and shit, like "Ring Around the Roses" was actually about the Black Plague.
or you get like if you read the real version of like Hansel and Gretel,
Oh boy,
it's fucked up, dude.
maybe we should do an episode on that.
I agree. We can definitely do that.
I like that idea. Only thing I can say for this holiday season, everybody go out and have a good time. If you if you're gonna drink and party and all that, just drive safe, get
Be
home,
yeah, exactly.
and
Be safe and remember,
enjoy
kids.
this day for what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a celebration. Everybody have a good time. Nobody cause any drama, and just enjoy each other's company because there's enough bullshit out in this world. We don't need any more. So,
So long story short, don't be a dick.
yeah, don't be a dick. I guess that's it for this episode. So, where can they find us?
YouTube, X, Facebook, Truth Social, Spotify, your mama's house.
All right. And as always, follow the questions.
Find the truth.